Hunter saves it. Hunter Hughes is coming around. Here comes Colton Garner. It's Hunter Hughes!
Turn 4 for the final time. Who's got more ponies? Checkered flag out. Bluegrass 150 goes to Ian Miller.
And welcome back to the Daily Dribble Podcast, guys. As always, I'm your host, Nick Zammit.
Good, get the name out there. It's like, hey, Joseph Newgarden, you're the guy with the sperm commercial. Yeah.
We are halfway home in the spring season of the Indy Racing World Series, and we are getting ready for yet another round and the second road course of the season as we welcome you to the LBC and the Showtime Esports Grand Prix. Here's your starting grid as we are getting right into it here. Round number 5, Matthew Faust on pole, Hunter Hughes will be alongside. Then it's Ian Miller and Derek Booker just behind. Jacob Barker has kind of struggled on the road courses this time. No different. He'll be rolling off in P5. He's alongside Eric Richardson with Michael Deitch and David Kruger just behind. Eduardo Martinez Testado coming off a podium earlier on this season has his work cut out for him. He's in P9. Then it's Eric Mattingly, Bill Molefield, and DJ Fluck. 45 laps on the ticker. They should be pitting about halfway home here. Laps 24 to 26, the longest you can go on fuel. We'll have to go between alternate and in between the alternate and the primary tires. Faust starting on the triples. Hughes the one furthest up on the primes. No pit stops, no yellow flags, but here we go. Faust and Hughes bringing us to green for the first time. Start from Booker. Hughes immediately trying to swing it to the high line. Not able to get there. Matthew Faust to the apex at T1 for the first time. Ian Miller able to win that duel for the back. Derek Booker moving too early on the brakes, gets him to the bottom step of the podium. Then it's Booker, Jacob Barker, Michael Deitch, Eric Richardson, Eddie Martinez Testado, and company. Oh, Hunter Hughes around. A little bit of contact with the wall coming out of turn number 6. Is there suspension damage there potentially? Trying to get it turned and is able to keep it running. Watching the hands here. Twitch.tv. We're seeing straight inputs. Oh, who's aided him? Further back. Was that Eric Mattingly in the wall? Oh, you bet. That is a slightly more damaged 23. Oh, no. Eric Mattingly, after running out front in Kansas and him having a DNF last race as well, will go back to back in terms of needing service. Matthew Faust on the line for the first time. Two-time champ Ian Miller, who was already right over his gearbox. Pressure being put on early. How hard is Faust going to defend at this point in the race? I think that's also a critical question we need to ask ourselves. Because it's already very quickly become a 2-car breakaway. You could maybe argue 3 with Derek Booker just behind as well. Miller wasting no time. He might try to get this move on the inside of turn 9. No, not there yet. Really good start from Ian Miller. As he's made passes. Maybe just one getting past Derek Booker. Hunter Hughes kind of made it a little bit easier for him than we might argue. Fight is on. And immediately purple lap from Derek Booker. You got Faust going down low. One trying to cover the dive. The fountain can't use too much time here. As much speed as possible. possible. Keep the wheel as straight as possible, too. Looks like there was some trouble for Jacob Parker as well that we didn't see. He's taking the number 2 in early on. Crimes, I'm not sure if that was maybe him still starting the race on the whole setup counting. We'll have to see. No yellow flags. Oh, that's a big hit. Faust into the wall coming out of turn number 8. And this will give Miller the opportunity down low into turn number 9. Making it easy. Oh my goodness. Big counter steer from Faust. Now the question, does he have something wrong with his car? Walled it in turn 9 on exit, rolled too much speed in, and nearly spun it. Ian Miller has capitalized on that. He's already put second on Faust with Derek Booker, 2.1 seconds back. You can see just how much he's battling it right now. Again, nearly into the wall further back. Where he nearly spun and lost the lead in the process. In just one lap of this circuit, the gap has gotten close. Once again, it was 2 seconds at the end of the last lap. Miller really overcooked it into the hairpin there and has kept it back within 1 second. All three of these guys still within conversation distance of one another. All the way back, Michael Deitch, your race winner from last weekend, Kansas. 10 seconds back. Two colors for him as well, moved over from the Mets to YMCA. Not helping at all either. And 7 further back, Testato in the pits as well. He hasn't come out yet either. Something potentially a problem. Number 769. Able to clear. Parker now, he's got clean air on his nose for 12 seconds. Separating himself and Booker. Further back you see Eric Richardson starting to come into view. Number 17 Apex machine. Further back, Hunter Hughes on the drive forward. He's already cleared. Both DJ Fluck and Jacob Parker. He's still nowhere near the fastest man on the track right now. Last time by 1:11.512. We'll re-track him here, give him a chance to see again his own. Now Derek Booker coming in. Mach 5 machine potentially having issues. Last time by 1:11.512 for Hunter Hughes, 1:10.413. Fastest man on track right now, Ian Miller. A second and a half right now, the difference between those two. And coincidentally, also the gap right now between first and second. Interesting from Derek Booker, as I'm not sure if that was intended or not. Again, all these guys were expected to go well into the 20s before needing a pit stop. More issues for Testato. He came back out and he was letting the lap traffic mosey on through. That's a tough part of the racetrack to do it. And while we have you here, while we've got a little bit of this calm as the battles are starting to sort themselves out, let's give you a closer look at this circuit. First opened in 1975. It's had plenty of different iterations since the first edition. Some 51 years ago now, but just a hair under 2 miles long. And has been the crown jewel of street racing in America. The longest running in America. That was a younger rendition. I think the early 2000s part layout you just saw there in the track preview. It's a straight shot now coming back on Shoreline Drive. And right where the is exactly now where I want to say 7, the left-hander. Again, in earlier editions, that left-hander coming back towards the stripe was a little bit sooner. That was because the ridge that shopping mall. You see just the left-hand side. Oh my goodness! Oh no! I think that was David Kruger. Yeah. Oh buddy, that was big. Overcooked it into turn 1. And I think he's got a quick repair, unfortunately. But just to the left here, it isn't modeled, but pike outlets not fully modeled and not fully built in previous years. Now for the better part of, gosh, I can't believe I'm saying this, 25 years now, this has been the layout we have had. Let's have the fastest man on track show us a way around here. As we jump on board, strap ourselves on board with the 48 of Ian Miller down the long back straightaway, which is all but straight. As pit exit, hard on the brakes for turn number 1, trying to keep the wheel as open as possible, get as close to the wall as possible through the world famous Dolphin Fountain. And trying to carry as much speed as possible. Do not use the curves here. 4 and 5, as they will absolutely make you back out so bumpy on the outside here of turn 5 as well. You gotta mash the throttle and just ride it. Left-hander of turn number 7, over the crest, car unloads a little bit. Back down by the tire barriers, can cut the line just like Ian was showing you guys into turn number 8. This is an overtaking opportunity down Shoreline Drive into turn number 9, but it is difficult. Some bullet, a little bit of curving on the left, and arc it wide into one of the slowest turns on the IndyCar calendar, the hairpin. Open it up. You got it, obviously, as Ian's showing you, battle the wheel spin. Shut up. Let Ian give you one more lap around this place. That's good stuff. And again, the longest running street race in North America. Third longest running in the world. Behind Monaco and the Isle of Man TT. And a place that I have very proudly called my home race for my entire life. A place that introduced a lot of Southern Californians to the sport of auto racing. And not just in the form of IndyCar, but IMSA, formerly ALMS, and Trans Am ran on the Saturdays. coolest thing that they used to do here that they don't do anymore. The Toyota Celebrity Pro-Ams, where you would get guys like Alonso Rivera. Gosh, I'm trying to think. Derek Jeter. David Goggins. Not David Goggins. David Hasselhoff. Any major athlete, film star, musician would go out for a week of training at Roller Springs in a handful of different cars, but this decade it was mostly Scion TCs and Subaru BRZs. Excuse me, the Scion FRS and the Scion TC. They would get coached by a handful of different real-life drivers and then go out and do like a 10-20 lap main race at Long Beach. George Lucas almost, like, I don't want to say almost died. Going into turn number 1, a la David Kruger. Sorry, David. Oh, man. Hang on to it, Matthew. Second time he's almost stayed it out of turn number 9. But yeah, one of the coolest things that has been done at Long Beach that just has not happened in any other venue, in any other race in the world. You get a bunch of actors or celebrities in your supporters. I think crucially, Frankie Muniz credited what he did in 2005 as being a crucial step in him realizing he's got the money. He could absolutely make a side hustle doing that legit. And now you see him doing a little bit of Xfinity stuff, mainly the NASCAR truck stuff, as a factory driver for Ford Performance, even doing some sports car stuff on the side, driving the Mustang GT4 in SRO events. It has very much launched a new generation of gentleman drivers, if you will. With Acura now as the title sponsor and no plans of that changing for the foreseeable future, we haven't seen the event back, and you gotta imagine that is a absolute nightmare for any insurer, especially on a very tight, at times and right here, very fast street circuit. You gotta imagine that's a very, very hard sell. I say, a couple Integra Type S's out here, they're front-wheel drive. You can't get. I'd say absolutely run it back. And in the big 2027, we can have iShowSpeed, Mr. Beast, and Timothée Chalamet going 3 wide into turn 1 and flying. It is funny because, the rise of internet celebrities wasn't there in time to participate in these races. So now we could get TikTokers, YouTubers, Twitch streamers in this race, bro. I want to see it. I gotta see it. Sell that in its return until the day that I die. We have made it to lap number 15 for the Showtime Esports Grand Prix. Ian Miller nearly puts it in the wall coming out of turn 1. That'll shorten the gap now from 2 seconds and change it's grown to. First and second drivers, both of them. 30 seconds nearly on Michael Deitch. How about this recovery drive from Hunter Hughes as well? He is slowly but surely reeling in at 17. Taking a look at push to pass right now, no one's used it more than Matt Faust was using that to defend a little bit earlier on. He's got 177 to go. 189, that's 11 seconds used for Ian Miller. Using Deitch, essentially having even been lasting but faster alternate tires, would they potentially be reaching the end of their lifetime? Hughes wanted to go around the outside into turn number 9. I think he knew that wasn't going to work. Only getting 2 real overtaking opportunities here. Tail end of turn 9 and right here into turn number 1. Again, Deitch getting on the podium this season. Honestly, it was actually our first remote small pressure shop where we got it. And got one again. Top step last weekend. You guys working their way around. I want to say DJ Fluck, yes. Making the 17 looking for podium number 3 of the season. And Hughes trying to keep his championship hopes alive. Sooner rather than later. Both of these guys, by the way, could still be on target. Come back in at least one more time. Fuel window 24-26 laps, so around lap 21-22. The quickest you can come in, the earliest you can come in, relative to the rest of the field. From Hughes. Again, thrusting his left foot, knowing he's not going to go into the rear wing of the 18th. A bit of a lockup from Deitch. And the fight is on. The only place we've really seen overtakes is turn number 9. Is this the case again as we storm down shoreline? Deitch going middle to defend and try and cover any offensive moves as we work our way down the carousel. Here we go. Hunter Hughes is right there. Deitch has been on the button right now, by the way, to try and defend and break away from that draft. Right here, he's used 40 seconds just in the past 3 laps. Oh, big lunge once again. As Hughes has the confidence in the brakes, but just has not had an open door just yet. Races particularly once we get out of here because it's just so damn tight in the first second. Right here, turns 7 and 8 could be an opportunity. Hunter Hughes could take it. He'll dive down low into the left-hander of turn number 7. He could be and the Architect gets his way back up onto the podium. Good stuff from Hunter Hughes. Part of the racetrack, an unorthodox part of the racetrack. He's up into P3. He could be up into P2 because Matthew Faust now comes into the pit lane with front wing damage. What have we missed from the 89? He'll switch back over to the primaries, but that is absolutely lifting code. That'll be in order. The guy who will absolutely be going on the long side here to the end. 26 laps, the longest you can go. This is quite literally the farthest end you can do it. How's coming out? Gotta mention, that is a sketchy exit because it's right on the outside of turn number 1. You're blending into the racing line, but you're picking up so much marbles from being on the outside. You got to spend that opening lap not just getting the tires up to temp, but scrubbing them as well, getting all of those rubber marbles, all the dust that you get from being on the outside racing line off. And on a street circuit that necessarily doesn't have a lot of rubber laid down already, That makes it even more of a tightrope walk on the opening lap. That pit cycle will allow Deitch to move on up into P17. With Bill Molefield in 5th, Derek Booker in 6th. DJ Fluck 7th, Jacob Barker is in 8th. And David Kruger in server. But out of it, other DNFs, Eric Richardson in P9, Eddie Tostado in 11th, Eric Mattingly in 12th. All three of those guys on the bottom half of the podium, on the bottom half of those, like in English, your three retirees all on the podium so far this year. That more damage to Parker? Is in that left side element to the front wing, but he is muscling through it. And here we go. Miller trying to do the overcut right now on Matthew Faust. This will certainly cycle Hunter Hughes up into the lead unless he still has to come in. He more than likely does. He stays out. What about Michael Deitch? He comes in. Now Faust just shimmying into the hairpin now. And just as Miller comes out of the pit lane, here's Hughes to the inside. Hunter Hughes, after spinning from the lead on lap number 2, gets back to the point on lap 21. Crucially, further back, 10 seconds the gap, Matthew Faust to Ian Miller. I think there might have been a little bit of extra service time required by the 89 pit crew to get that front wing back on. But crucially, Ian Miller going long has paid off with the 48. Still has not pitted, but it is crucial for us to tell you that he did not go into the pit lane previously. Again, has no ability to really go long here. At the longest, will likely be able to make it another 4 or 5 laps. Looking at where everyone is on track right now, he will still more than certain get out onto the podium right now, as Michael Deitch has really fallen back too. 17 down to P6 behind Derek Booker and Bill Molefield. Booker did come in earlier, lap 5. Bill Molefield not yet taking it to pit lane. Ian Miller might want to make this move on track instead of forcing it into the pits. He's within half a second. Still no boost used from Hunter at this point tonight. Very impressive considering the comeback drive. And still only 11 seconds from Miller. That was used. He took the lead away from Faust into turn number 9, but otherwise has not used anything, period. That might be more damage to Hughes. Locked it up into turn 7. He must have brushed up against the wall coming out of turn number 5. It's just like Jacob Barker, he's missing the left-hand side, that front wing. And that'll give the lead back over to Ian Miller and force the pit for Hunter. Hunter Hughes coming in. That'll promote Faust to second. And provisionally, where is Bill Molefield? 911 car just coming out of number 4. Does still need to come in as well, as he's gone 23 times around. Hunter Hughes, P4 now. Deitch, he might go all the way back to Michael Deitch. He will. He's just now coming out of the pit lane. No, Deitch just coming to the stripe now. I stand corrected. Hughes down to P5. And Boulder Sisyphus rolls back to the bottom of the hill for the number 5. That'll leave Ian Miller uncontested. 10 seconds clear. Field with 20 laps to go. So 20 laps to go here. In the second time that Indy Racing World Series has made it over to the West Coast. Again, crucially, even though it's a 2-mile circuit, it's not as long to Spa. Fuel management not nearly as much of an issue as it was Round 3 in Melbourne. Indy Racing World Series is brought to you by Showtime Esports Manager, a comprehensive platform designed to simplify and streamline the management of esports leagues and tournaments. From scheduling and registration to standings, results, and automation, it replaces spreadsheets and manual processes with a centralized, easy-to-use system. Manage your first league or tournament for free at ShowtimeEsports.com. How about this? Hunter Hughes now the fastest man on track as Molefield comes into the pits and hands P4 back to the 18. We are just at the halfway point. Hunter Hughes absolutely could find his way back on the podium. Could he potentially find his way back in victory lane? Again, the second time Indy Racing World Series has come to the beach. It will be the 51st edition this weekend. When you rewind the clock, I mentioned just how much this street circuit has evolved in the past half century. There have been times where we thought this wouldn't fully make it this far. There were times where we thought the city wouldn't make it this far. You gotta thank this entire race to one Chris Pook, a auto racing fan from the UK turned travel agent who mid-70s saw what Long Beach had become. And again, I'm an Orange County guy, but I have family from LA. They will be the first to tell you that Long Beach was far from glitz and glamour. Late 60s, early 70s. Navy had fully invaded, as well as oil refineries and whatnot. You had adult film theaters, you had dive bars, you had underground fight clubs. It was a far cry from it being the American Monaco that race fans really want to stick on this. But you got to thank Chris Pook for that, who was an international travel agent and an auto racing fan, and he saw something in this city that I don't think the mayor at that point saw. And that's an international sports city, a business, financial hub of the West Coast. And this giant, if I move over, no, I have. Yeah. Oh, not you. Got it somewhere. We're doing our history lesson, folks. This right here is what changed everything. Long Beach Convention Center, which is about as old as the race. On top of that, you've got the Long Beach Performing Arts Center, Long Beach Sports Center. That's the big kind of aquarium-esque looking doohickey on the left there with all the whales and sharks painted on the side. But case in point, that was being built, and Pook pitched it to City Council as to promote the opening of this new center, to have a Formula One style event going around the new building. And he was able to get it. That being said, it was a Formula 5000 race, which was kind of like the best way to describe it would be a Formula Renault, a Formula V of the time. As Derek Booker now comes into the pit lane. That should promote Molefield back up into the top 5 as well. Case in point, Formula 5000 race. First edition in 1975. 46,000 Californians came out to watch the maiden race, and actually ran a little bit further up on Long Beach Boulevard. And that's where you see, you might have seen some older footage of going up and down the hills. That's just inland of Seaside Way, that run from turn 8 into turn 9. It actually went up onto the street just above it as well. Logistically, that is unfortunately near impossible now. I think it would also make the track it was perfect for the cars at the time. Case in point, 46,000 race fans show up for year 1. 6 months later, staged a Formula 1 race. In the following year, F1 did come to the Monaco of the West. That was won by Clay Regazzoni in the first time of asking. But ultimately, fans were stoked to see F1 here. The city was stoked. F1 didn't see a long-term home in Long Beach the way the city had hoped for. And ultimately, both the city and Pook just did not have the budget to stage it and maintain the glitz and glamour that F1 was asking for. So F1 packed up, left town. By the early 1980s, he was actually a former race winner in the form of Mario Andretti, who won with Lotus in '77. Helped convince what was then USAC folk to fill the open space. And after that, we now have from 1983. Championship auto racing teams, or CART, launching what will be a tenure of American open wheel racing, second only to the Indy 500. There has been no streak of races, IndyCar races, in one place as long as the Indy 500, and right here at Long Beach. 1984, CART shows up. Mario Andretti gets his second win on the first in the Champ Car era on the streets. And as they went into the 90s, there was no one who was really more well known in this era of what some consider to be the peak of Champ Car. Al Unser Jr. was quickly known as the king of the streets, won 4 times both for Team Penske and a handful of others. Turn of the century. Juan Montoya won here. Helio Castroneves won alongside both Paul Tracy, Sebastian Bourdais. And then crucially, this was a huge part of American open wheel history as it ran well into the Civil War. But it was part of the end of the American open wheel Civil War as well. End of April in 2008, IRL and what had then evolved into Champ Car finally said, we're done with all this fighting. Let's finally become a united league once again. And that decision was set in stone the weekend before IRL was overseas at Twin Ring Motegi, and Champ Car was right here. So only a handful of races into the season, it was set in stone that Long Beach would be home of the final ever Champ Car race, and that would be officially the end of the kart era, if you will, as it would be IRL and then IndyCar all the way on. Neil Janney started that race on pole alongside Paul Tracy. ET would continue his tenure in IndyCar. Janney was, unfortunately, never got to fully stretch out his legs in single-seaters. He moved over to a very successful career in sports cars with Porsche, set the, probably best known for setting the record at Spa, going faster than Formula One with the 918 Evo. But crucially, some guy named Will Power for Team Australia got his first ever win and would go down in history as the last ever Champ Car winner. Over in Motegi, Danica Patrick actually won that race, getting crafty with fuel strategy. And to this day is the only woman to ever win in IndyCar and what many to be considered a mainstream motorsports victory. Getting the 10-lap warning here from the streets of Long Beach. It is Ian Miller out in front. We're watching Hunter Hughes right now, though, try and claw that number 18 back to Faust and Miller. It's looking like Miller's to lose here, though, with 16.3 now, the gap between. I'm almost done with the history lesson here, folks, I swear, but this is a very, very cool race, and if you're even anywhere near the West Coast, I've been begging DJ to come out here and experience it. Because I remember my first time, IndyCar is one thing, going on Saturday for IMSA. I remember, gosh, already almost 10 years ago, coming for the IMSA race. And what they don't tell you about any of these street races is the acoustics of it. Because unlike a natural road course, you have skyscrapers, you have these concrete barriers you can see. It reverberates, it echoes off of everything around it, and it becomes this concert hall of horsepower and natural aspiration, and you can hear it damn near 50 miles away. It is one of the coolest things of all time. Everyone in town every single weekend, or every single day of that race weekend, it knows there is a motor race going on. It is phenomenal. I say that because I think one of my biggest core memories in realizing I wanted to do this for a living, or at least be a part of the paddock for a living, hearing the Cadillac DPI, that naturally aspirated 4.8-liter V8, echoing down turn 8 right here into turn number 9 at full song and stomping on the brakes, coming out of hyperspace. We're freaking heaven. One of the coolest things I've ever witnessed. IMSA's got a full-time home here as well. Formerly ALMS, the United Sports Car Series, as well as Trans Am, and the Camel GTO Series. Crucially, it could have been IMSA on Sunday, allegedly talks of NASCAR buying out this event upright a handful of years ago, 2022. Fortunately, Roger Penske did everything in his power to keep that from happening. And now RP bought that, I believe, from the McCallan family. Oh my god, I haven't even told you guys about Jim McCallan yet. Jim McCallan, who for 51 years was the head honcho of the Grand Prix, was named the president and CEO in 2001. My entire life has been the only reason this race has been able to keep going. Also competed in a crap ton of endurance races. Did Le Mans, did Daytona, did Nürburgring, Spa, Watkins Glen. What was a huge part in defending NASCAR from acquiring the race and handing it off to Roger Penske. Unfortunately, just passed away a handful of months ago. He was 83 years old. I think another part of how crucial this is as a race culturally. Look back 50 years ago, this was dust in the wind. Racing California, Southern California was Racing City. Even isolated from racing, there is a huge automotive culture, obviously, in Southern California. Nobody's arguing that. But I think it's when Riverside Raceway, in the late 70s and early 80s, was sold off and converted into a shopping mall. I think that's when you saw this sign of the times. Especially because if you ask Mario Andretti, Alcine, so many of these guys in the road racing scene, that was considered the Dodger Stadium of racing. And for something like that to fall, it realized just how difficult it is for racing to stay alive. Now, just in this decade, you lose Irwindale Speedway, you lose Fontana, you get promises of Fontana coming back as a short oval for that to never happen. You have Hunter Hughes absolutely hitting the dick out of the wall coming out of turn number 6. Is he damaged? He might have damage to the left wing. Oh no. Might be damage to that left element of the front wing. It's like the 4th car to do that as well. See if he can stay out, or maybe my netcode is arguing something different in terms of my data. Case in point, we lose Irwindale, we lose Fontana. Fontana is not coming back. And the only way we are now getting NASCAR in California, south of San Francisco, is an exhibition in Long Beach, at the Coliseum in Los Angeles, and using America's 250th to celebrate Sunday Racing World, which I will absolutely be going to as well. Where you look at where the relevance of Long Beach now lies. This is it. If you want to watch a motor race in Southern California, this is the spot to be. The only spot to be. And the good news is more and more people have answered the call. They had to actually bring in an additional grandstand last year on the outside of turn number 1, as well as additional VIP seating right here. You kind of saw the blue tents, and even more of those through the carousel into turn number 9. 215,000 people on race day, as Hughes brings it back into the pit lane. 215,000 people Sunday last year for the 50th edition. One of the coolest things I've ever seen. Sitting on the pit lane, looking at these stands for the first time in my life, not just full, overflow. You can only imagine that this Friday we'll start to see exactly the same. Five laps to go here. Ian Miller, 21 seconds over Matthew Faust. IRWS is brought to you by Fix Coffee Brand. If you're looking for your next coffee fix, you've got to check out CB. Fresh, bold flavor, and you get to grind your own beans for that perfect cup every time. Use code Eric Richardson at checkout and save 15% on your next order. So that's your history of the Long Beach Grand Prix. I'll give you 2 extracurriculars really quick here because we are getting to the tail end of this. 2 new forms of racing genuinely were invented in Long Beach as a result of this venue being perfect for it. One of them was thanks to Robbie Gordon, longtime NASCAR and Indy 500 driver, one of the first guys to really pioneer the double. Then went on post-road racing career to do a ton of off-road racing south of the border. Baja 1000, Baja 500, Mint 400 in Vegas. And what he wanted to do is use Long Beach as kind of a platform to promote off-road desert racing. So what he did was get a ton of his own stadium trucks, or trophy trucks, excuse me, convert them for road racing, chuck the off-road tires off, get long travel suspension, and then get a ton of forklifts, bring out metal ramps. That in 2011, Stadium Super Trucks was born, at its first ever running right here in Long Beach. Now is a full-time support series, not just here, but in Australia, supporting the V8 Supercar Championship. It is one of the coolest things you'll see at an IndyCar race that's not an IndyCar. Whether it's here, whether it's Mid-Ohio, Barber, almost every street circuit they go to. But those trucks get easily, I mean, it looks like 50 feet of air. It's probably not, but they're going damn near 120 miles an hour down this back straightaway, hitting the rims. It is very cool. That, and most of you already know this, but the event that was in Long Beach last weekend, Formula Drift, had its first ever event in, I want to say, 2005. But much like skateboarding at the time was making its move from being considered kind of an illegal hooligan sport to having some form of actual organization to it, and really have the dawn of professional drifters getting, OEM funding and major network deals for people to go and watch drifting. And that has become as big in Long Beach, if not bigger, I would argue, than the road racing scene. Got a huge deal with Racer Plus. They just celebrated their 20th year. And now with the fall of Irwindale, we talked about this. They'll be going there twice now for the second time this year, hosting round 1 as well as the finale. They use a separate version right here in what's full-time the parking lot for the Aquarium of the Pacific. They use an alternative layout for that as well. Could also mention this is the only track that has like drift rubber constantly laid down, because not only do they run on the Fridays, they run on the weekends as well. Kyle Kirkwood, I talked with him last year. It is actually noticeable with how much rubber that's laid down. In the track walk, I've dug my fingernails in. I've been able to push chunks of rubber out with my hands. It's not too noticeable on grip according to Kyle, but you definitely feel the chassis raise up a little bit when you get into the braking zone for turn 9. You feel that rubber laid down. Anyway, Twin Sticks are out. Ian Miller's got 1 lap left. I love Long Beach a ton, and you should too. If you're in the area, admission is free on Friday. You've got no excuse. Call out of work. Say you're sick. Say you gotta fold your dishes. I don't know. Walk your dog. iRacing actually modeled that rubber. It's not nearly as dark as it is in real life. I'm supposing iRacing folks just got out the garden hose and turned around and fixed it up. Here we go. White flag for Ian Miller. Started on the alternates, was one of the only guys to start on the alternates, or primaries, excuse me, and work over to the alternates. Further back, Matthew Faust looks like he will successfully get back on the podium too. Michael Deitch just getting to the stripe now. But Ian Miller has been so close so many times this season and has not been able to get it done. Whether it's been on the ovals, whether it was Spa-Francorchamps where he tangled with Faust going for the podium. When you look at so many of these different incidents that the two-time champ has had, you know, so much of it has been narrowed down to bad luck or getting tangled with other drivers. But when you put him in an isolated spot, when you get him clean nose going, clean air going to that wing, he is one of the scariest guys in IRWS. And you saw that for 45 laps here in Southern California. Out of the hairpin for the final time, Ian Miller takes victory in Long Beach. Matthew Faust losing it in lap number 5 to Ian. Just simply put, could not bring in the fight. 30 seconds down, he'll be your runner-up. Michael Deitch be on the podium as well for the second time. And Ian Miller has found a perfect spot to help us in. Here's the results after 45 laps at the beach. Ian Miller, your race winner. Matthew Faust, Mike Deitch going to join him on the podium. Bill Molefield getting his second top 5 of the season. Derek Booker recovers to get the 5 in P5. Then it's Hunter Hughes, forced back again after another mistake. Jacob Barker, DJ Fluck, Eric Richardson, and David Kruger rounding out your field of 10. I think I've got everybody in here. Did I hear 3 people joining? Need to double check here, but we should be ready for your post-race interviews. We've got everybody in here, or at least everybody that matters. Let's get started here with Ian Miller, your race winner. It was a boring race for you out in front, and I say that in a good way, Ian. You get the gap on Maddie, and you don't look back. Talk to me about that race.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I qualified on the back foot, didn't have a great qualifying session, but we had a good tangle for the lead, and yeah, once I got ahead, I was sort of just managing the gap through the first stint, saving fuel, and then seemed like I got a good gap in the pit cycle, and just eyes forward, head down, get their traffic clean, and do what I can.
Been an unlucky start to your season, I think we would argue, but you finally get it done here, and in dominant fashion at that. I don't know if you feel like you had a monkey on your back to get in this first win of the season, but how good does it feel to finally put one in the win column?
You know, it feels like a lot of redemption from Spa and from last week, frankly. You know, it feels good, and kind of, yeah, like I said, getting that monkey off my shoulder so I can just keep my eyes forward. I know that likely puts me in a good championship position, and, you know, hopefully we can just clean up through the second half of the season.
I legit have no idea considering where DJ is, but we will have to wait and see. But finally, for the first time this season, Ian Miller back in victory lane. Congrats, Ian.
Yeah, thank you.
Matty Faust, P2, and really just watched Hunter spin at the lead, and then all of a sudden you had a hard charging McLaren back there. I'll start with this. I was talking to these guys about how shockingly difficult turn 9 is. What can you share with us about how shockingly loose it is down there?
Oh yeah, I had a big moment there right before the pit cycle was about to begin, so that kind of put my race on the back burner. But, you know, overall, I think there's a lot of turns on the track where you're braking downhill, and then when you turn, I mean, the track's just going away from you. So it's very slippery out there. It's, you know, there's obviously no room for mistakes. You know, normally have a little bit of grass or something to help you, but not the case today. But yeah, still really enjoyed driving out there. You know, had to save a lot of fuel at the end, but still got it home.
Dusty, bumpy, you're dealing with drift rubber in that final half of the racetrack. I feel like you've had a very similar season to Ian in that you've had the pace, but you just have not ended on the sharp end here too many times. But you're coming out of Long Beach, starting the back half of this season with a really, really good run potentially at the championship. Talk to me about the mindset for you as we start to wrap things up here.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate. I felt like Phoenix I should have had. I had that race. I feel like I had it won, unfortunately. And then the rest of the year, I missed 2 races. So for me, it's really just maximizing, trying to get up as high up in the points as I can. But, if I've said this a lot, but if I'm talking to you at the end of the day, things are going okay.
Good deal. Great driving this week, Matty. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Michael Deitch, 3rd podium of the season as well. My friend, we're starting to make a habit out of this. Talk to me about your race.
That was the most uneventful race I've ever had on the street course.
I was giving
It was really
lessons.
yeah, it was really just avoid trouble on lap 1 and then just hit your marks the rest of the way, and that's exactly what I did.
I know this maybe wasn't in your predictions for this season, but you're heading into Vegas next week. More than likely, top 3 in the championship. 1, your reaction to that, and 2, what the strategy is in staying relevant, staying up front here in the tail end of the season.
I think it's just showing up and trying to stick each race out to the end. I think it's not something I really expected myself to be in, especially with a street race today, and I personally struggle with road courses, but yeah. So I didn't think I'd be in this position. So I think it's just a matter of execution now. We just got to do everything we can to try to get as much points as possible.
Good stuff. Congratulations on your drive here, Michael.
Thank you.
And just like that, it's another week of IRWS away from us. But we're going to keep going till early on in the month of May to let the real life guys get you to the big show. Next week, April 21st, we'll be at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we'll start to get a real picture and single out who's in contention for the championship. Time for us to land the boat here. Land the plane. I'm so tired, guys. If I haven't been 100% here, I'm sorry. But just got the confirmation, unfortunately. I'm going to be in Charlotte this weekend for Grid Life and a lot of late nights studying and prepping for that, which means this will be actually the first time in over a decade I'm not going to be here for a Long Beach Grand Prix weekend. But very excited for the opportunity. That'll be on YouTube and Racer Plus. If you guys aren't watching Long Beach and for whatever reason want to keep hearing me talk. But I got to stop talking tonight because, man, I need some rest. But we thank you, as always, for making our Wednesday and Tuesday nights a part of yours and letting us into your televisions, into your homes, or into your simulator cockpits. But we appreciate you, as always. And for one more time, for your hard-working FR Racing staff and for everybody at Stadium Scene TV, my name is Jackson Lambros. We'll see you next Tuesday when we continue with IRWS action.